Hello everybody, welcome back to a video game that I am avoiding talking very much directly about for the purposes of humor. Thank you very much. Hey, feed me, Seymour! Wait, does that count as talking about the game? Those guys actually have like a wonky hitbox. Oh, damn it, I'm doing the thing where I talk about the game. Well, crud vapors. Hope everyone's doing alright. It's been, the usual amount of time that a weekend lasts since I last streamed. And I have some news from the world of Gozer in that apparently the Pokerogue thing is way worse than it initially sounded like. Which, granted, I am not entirely surprised by that, considering that, listen, I'm not necessarily an anti-religious person, but when you say, hey, yeah, I'm going to do this and focus on my faith, and you cite Bible verses at the end of your statement, it is very important to pay attention to which ones somebody uses. I think I said this last time, that it seems like a very questionable choice where one of your very few, one of the ones that you have there is, and partially out of context, part of the sequence in the Bible where Jesus, the one moment of violence that the man has of the moneylenders in the temple. Oh, did I need to turn? I needed to turn, didn't I? Especially after you've gone into a whole bit where it's like, oh, well, I didn't mean to make this thing so addictive, which, again, kind of seems like you didn't know what you were getting into a little bit because it is Pokemon. Oh. Oh, hey, thank you for the... That seemed really long, but I think it's just because it's the text-to-speech. Yes, I have the bit sound fixed. I don't have the image. All my resources are gone from Streamlabs, pretty much, at least in that regard. The sounds are still there, but I did used to have a GIF that was, well, Gutsman's ass. I might see if I can do something like that, but like redo it. I mean, it'll still be a Gutsman's ass joke, probably, because, well, Gutsman. But well, part of it really is that I'm just like, where did my stuff go? Because that's kind of weird. So, yeah, it turned out that the now departed main developer of Pokerogue was also, like, a huge transphobe, and I think also kind of a racist, which, okay, good that they're gone, right? And then you look at the Discord mods, and it's like, oh, hey, that's real cool. So I ended up quitting, and I don't want to blame it entirely on like, oh yeah, it's made by an asshole. If I quit everything that was made by shitty people, well, I don't think I'd have a whole lot of entertainment media because, boy oh boy, let me tell you, there are a lot of not great people in the world, and considering they tend to trickle upwards because conservatism and capitalism, go hand in hand a little bit, a lot of that ends up in the publishers, so... I'm sure that the people who made this game are stand-up dudes, but don't ask Nintendo about how gay you're allowed to be in Tomodachi Life, for example. That seems like a bit mean to pull out something from over 10 years ago now, but, like, geez, I think about that way too much. Ultimately, I did have to, think about things after that came out, and I also had this moment of just like, it's probably a good idea to cut back on games that are that heavy on grinding for minuscule progression to pretty much the only goal being you finish the game. Because the other thing is that at that point, all I had in... jeez. At that point, what Pokerogue has is endless mode, and that, I don't think there's much satisfaction in there because there's no ending. What's up is I'm playing through this game with only getting 3 hearts. Or as few as the game will let me anyway, which so far it has allowed me to skip any pieces of heart that I've been able to get. It's let me skip the heart container from Goma, so probably close enough. Well, I also don't think Quest 64 is that grindy. Like, even if you're going for level 50 in all spirits, you're probably not going to be sitting around doing, like, nothing. But, yeah, again, to me, it's just like there were no goals left. Once I beat a run of classic mode, actually, once I beat 2 runs of classic mode, because I did get one that unlocked Spliced Endless, which I did not show off, and considering the fallout of that, I will also not be showing off. I don't really feel like there was a whole lot else for me to do except like, oh, hey, yeah, I get more Pokemon. I can make them cheaper. I can just endlessly grind for no real purpose. And at the very least, at the very least, there is satisfaction in something like, say, Risk of Rain, because, yeah, that can go on forever, but pointedly, it does have to end at some point. And to me, I think that a great part of roguelikes is in overcoming that level of adversity. And yes, I am pointedly dragging out the moving on with the plot part this time so I can actually talk. So yeah, in the wake of this, there were quite a few people who were advertising other Pokemon roguelikes, and I decided not to pick another one of those up because, again, I'm not certain what sort of, like, anything else I truly have to gain out of a lot of those at this particular juncture. It's a good idea once, but I feel like I'm not really the target audience that much. And yeah, I did change my Twitch name again. Well, again, in this case being, like, for the first time in the last several years. But yeah, a couple weeks ago. Again, just to sort of unify, that's not what I'm trying to say, although generally, yeah, but, you know, we'll just call it for personal, get off me, guys. They really did just all drop in the same place, huh? Yeah, so now we've got the green choo-choos. They are presumably not made of blood. They might be like, well, snot or something, I don't know. Anyway, they do a lot more of that hiding in the ground kind of thing. I put an asterisk on saying it's a 4 reference because, yes, but also it's by way of 14. And, I mean, granted, like, there's a lot of 14 stuff that is just straight up references to other Final Fantasy games. And, in particular, the moon sequence in 14 is basically just an extended FF4 homage. In fact, really, like, most of Endwalker is extended FF4 homages. There's multiple locations in Garlemald that reference 4. Pretty much all of the expansion packs, pardon me. Pretty much all the patches after 6.0 are just straight up 4 stuff. In fact, it's kind of remarkable to me a little bit that the bosses they have in terms of the, not raids, trials, pardon me, that you fight like Zodiark, and they don't have that being a 4 reference instead. Still in early Heavensward. Well, there is, needless to say, a lot before you get there, but yeah. Endwalker is steeped in FF4 stuff. A lot of the other... I was going to say a lot of the other X-Packs kind of have a lot of stuff like that, but that's actually not as true as I'm thinking. I think that Endwalker's 4 content is probably the largest amount of, like, reference to any single Final Fantasy game in terms of, like, the main content of an X-Pack or anything like that. I mean, there's plenty of raids that reference 5, 6, remarkably little 7, actually, come to think of it. Oh, yeah, the one for pre-ordering Dawntrail. I should probably get that because I do have a very similar thing from pre-ordering Endwalker. I have the Menfina's earring, which is the same thing, but at a lower level cap. So I'd probably want to get that because A, most of my classes really are not at that level cap, and B, there are going to be 2 new classes released with Dawntrail. Oh, yeah, that would definitely... Yeah. It's like, yes, that's good, but you probably should try to finish out the contents of the trial first, just to take full advantage of, well, budgetary matters. And then you can use that to level up your side classes. Because you've probably noticed there are a lot of those. By the way, I didn't say it, but I do love this particular Deku tree. What a great just expression and everything. I mean, the one from OOT is classic, but I just love how expressive this one is and the everything. Is this the book that you mentioned on Friday, just to keep things nice and simple, because you did mention that you got a pretty rare RPG book, so yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, there are some classes that can be a little bit rough in that regard, Retro. Like, for example, I cannot really, I'm a little intimidated, needless to say, by Ninja and Summoner. I did get Ninja up to 50, though. Paladin gets very messy. I'm only like level 65 or something with Paladin, but I haven't had that just yet. Hey you, do you have advice? I feel like I'm going the wrong direction is the problem here. Oh, right, I need the grappling hook out, don't I? Paladin doesn't seem like it's that bad. Honestly, tanking is a very scary thing to do because you do sort of become like the de facto party leader. At least the first couple times, but it ends up being pretty simple, ultimately. Warrior is definitely the one that is probably a little bit easier, I would say, mostly because once you start getting into the 50-60 range, Warrior starts getting some really ridiculous stuff. Raw Intuition, my beloved. What a move that is. That just... is stupidly good. I think Paladin does have a lot more like off global cooldowns for a lot of that stuff, so Once you enter into a boss rotation, that can get a little bit more like, you know, you gotta do funny hand stuff. I would say don't worry too much about misusing your mitigations because generally speaking, A, you have a pretty good amount of them, and B, usually the game is quite good at warning you when, hey, you need to do the thing. Just stopping off over here briefly, even though this is not the place to go. I'll take a peek out here. This, I believe, goes out to the Nintendo Gallery. Yeah, that looks like the Nintendo Gallery. So that's a thing that we can't really deal with right now. But it's there if we were to be doing this in a New Game Plus run, which, since I'm doing this on console, and when I played this game like 4 years ago or something, I was doing it on emulator, that is not gonna be the case. Sorry. Yeah. Paladin, I think, has like kind of the most cases of you get a budget like very low cooldown mini mitigation in the form of Sheltron, which charges up very fast. It's based on a meter that recovers based on your auto attacks. So it's less scary than that. If you basically just like use Sheltron for regular fights and your faster recovering ones, and you save the big one that I forget, Sentinel. It's not Sentinel, is it? The one that's like 30%. If you save that for when you really need it, you'll be fine. Also, don't be terribly intimidated by the existence of moves that make you unable to die for several seconds. I very rarely have to use those when I tank. It's pretty much... God, I think the only time I did it was in one of the harder level 50 dungeons, like Amdapor Keep or something, and doing a wall-to-wall pull of the entire section. It was like, okay, I gotta pop Holmgang at the end of this in order to not get absolutely murked by the fact that there's like 30 monsters chasing us. Which, even with good AoE-based even with good AoE-based DPS, that's a little bit rough to manage on the fly. Okay, yeah, that can be a little bit difficult also in terms of like have all your hotbar skills easily accessible on the left side. What I have going is I have a mouse that has a set of 12 buttons over on my my mouse has a set of these 12 like MMO style buttons on the left side of it that I can access with my thumb. So maybe seeking out one of those is not a bad idea for potentially if you decide to pick this up and go into any of the more complicated classes. It will certainly help you out in that regard, and I forgot to change the wind. Do we reset at the... We don't reset at the middle. That's not a checkpoint, right? Oh, no, we do. Well, how about that? That is... This game is, like, really generous. They let you get away with so much shit. That's true. It's something that you pick up over time. Is in that case. That's about all I've got in terms of that information. So, yeah, if you do want to use like as little of your hotbar as possible, I can kind of understand why Paladin would be a little bit less appealing. I think Warrior is significantly more playable with fewer buttons, basically. I mean, it's got a lot of like... Oh, I missed the updraft. And I think we need that updraft period to be able to get up there. So that's some interesting geometry that went on. Well, that's also fair too. It's just sort of like a me thing. Somebody sent me one a million years ago, and I was like, yeah, I'll try it, and I actually really like it for stuff like that. So, If that's not your bag, that's not your bag. That's fair enough. Yeah, I guess that also means that I probably need to take a look at Summoner. I got a feeling maybe that Summoner is like, it just looks like a lot of buttons, but it's actually much... Wow, I am just screwing up this updraft thing so badly. It's amazing that this is what's, like, stymieing me and not like, hey, yeah, you have no health. It's okay, this isn't Link to the Past. That would be the case. Link to the Past has stuff that hurts you real bad, if I recall correctly. There we go. That's better. That's not, however. That's just rude, game. Turning on the leaf is a little bit slow, and also I am kind of concerned about, you know, tiny magic meter. There is something we can do about that as soon, basically, as we go beat the dungeon. In fact, I think literally I can go and do it like right after I beat the dungeon, just I have to go a little bit out of my way. Alright, dodge the P-hats a little better. Hey, wow, that one really looked like it hit me and it didn't. Nice. Warrior is a really good class to try out. They've done some stuff to make Warrior a lot more beginner friendly. Most notably, they changed your main AoE into a circle. Up until Endwalker, the overpower AoE was a triangle instead of a circle, and that could be like a pain in the ass to get used to. Oh geez, don't I know that? I literally, for the first time earlier this week, queued for something as a healer that wasn't Crystalline Conflict. And by something, I mean Guild Hests. So I'm still kind of a puss when it comes to healing. That's like where the performance anxiety hits. So it's okay. I know that nobody's paying attention to the DPS anyway, so I'm not in like hardcore content, so yeah. I could in fact be wrong, but yeah, these guys are jerks. This is why in like fighting games, usually there's penalties for just holding the block button constantly. It's like AI, it's like it's like the AI of Mortal Kombat arcade games from like MK2, MK3 kind of era. For me, one of the things that is sort of like, I need to see if I can shortcut it a little better is, I'm just kind of worried about healer, that's all. See, I'm trying to remember where like a lot of the healers stand in terms of like stuff like that. Now, I started like doing any healing stuff on Astrologian, and the main reason why I did that is because Astro starts at level 30, which is early enough that you get like, you know, some of your stuff a little bit early. A thing that I like is that you get your AoE heal like immediately, which I think is probably also true of the other healers by level 30, but also you get the AoE, I'm thinking you get the AoE regen probably pretty early too. I just, my white mage is only 39, I'm an idiot, I've forgotten to level it up. But whatever, Astro looks like it gets a little bit of stuff sooner, and that's great. But it's also not like, hey, yeah, do you remember the beginning of Conjurer? And you get just enough of your, you know, you get yourself just enough into the water there to start out with, where it's not like Sage feels like you'd be getting thrown off the deep end because Sage is a level 70 class. And in fact, I did like try to look at the buttons on Sage a little bit, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be something I should put off. I mean, it looks cool, but also like, ooh, that's a little scary. But also, I don't 100% know what my bars would look like it, you know, some of the lower levels if I was just like, hey, yeah, let me do some of the, let me just do MSQ roulette basically for experience for that. I wouldn't know what that would be like. I would definitely suggest at the very least, like, oh jeez. Yeah, sorry, I'm screwing that up. That's all. Yeah, in short, the higher level a class starts at, the more there is to take in, which is not surprising. So, Sage first, like, I can understand the mindset on some level, and then I look at the fact that it, you know, it starts out with, realistically, an entire several X packs deep worth of stuff that you can do with it. And I just kind of go, actually, that ends up not being such a good idea. Oh yeah, right. Dawntrail is folding buttons down a little bit, yeah? So that'll be nice. Yeah, that should help out some things quite significantly. Again, some classes that have like really long classes that have like really long rotation, like late stage Dragoon has well, I guess you don't have to do the whole thing, but it's Dragoon at late stage has a rotation that at least looks kind of odd to me because it's like it branches a little bit. So yeah, yeah. God, is it really that simple? Because I seem to recall that it's like, okay, here's one branch that's either 3 or 4 buttons, and then it goes back to the start, and then it like branches the other way. Then clearly I'm forgetting, and I haven't played Dragoon in, well, a while. Imagine me playing classes other than Red Mage, right? Red Mage, the class that you would probably think would be one of the biggest pains in the ass, but also somehow is not. There is also probably that, because I'd have to look at it again at some point. If I were to play Dragoon, which, I mean, I guess I could. And yet, to think I got the Reaper weapon before then for the current relics. It's okay, at least I'm not one of those sickos who mains Black Mage, because... Ooh, boy. Fuck. I'm forgetting how this entire area is laid out. Coming down here was a mistake. Admittedly, this is what I get for probably paying less attention to the game than I should, because I was like, oh, hey, yeah, again, I'm gonna, like, say as little as possible on this game. I've played it before. On stream, even. So, I done fucked up. They are giving Black Mage the ability to move their ley lines in Dawntrail, from what I saw. And by saw, I mean heard from other people, so I don't actually know a whole lot on that one. I'm kind of like, at the same time, I want it to be good, but also I'm just sort of at the same time hoping that it's the slowest thing possible. Just like comically slow. Yeah, you try dodging while you have your ley lines up, Buster. And then I also remember the Instacast only Black Mage rotation that was briefly popular that I can't remember all of. That's very, very funny. I don't know how much of a concern that will be unless it's very long with regard to getting locked in on macros. I don't do a whole lot of macros, so you'll probably be okay on that one. I would say just like test it out on a couple of things. Just like turn on unrestricted party, go into something and push it a little bit and get into a position where you try it and see how rough it is in that regard. Because listen, if nothing else, you won't be doing it in front of other people. I mean, yeah, you could just press Scathe only, which it took me a very long time to actually remember to put that on my hotbar, because I saw it and I was like, that does nothing. What's the point? And then I realized, oh yeah, it's Instacast. I was not good at Black Mage early on, but later on it's like, okay, I understand how this works. I just don't like it, because... Oh, we're getting aided. But there was like a whole rotation at 90 for a while that people were doing, and it was stuff like it involved a lot of paradox related stupidity of just building that up and basically chaining that with some of the other shit or something like that. And I seem to recall it actually started to be like a serious thing that people were doing for a bit, until everybody was just like, dude, this isn't funny. Just do things that get the real Black Mage numbers. If you want to play rodeo clown shit, play like Bard. I don't know. I don't know what class I'm supposed to be talking shit about in that case, right? I don't really know offhand what Bard is like at higher levels either. Because I only recently... Oh yeah, our health alarm starts at 1.5 hearts in this game. You definitely, it is true that you have to worry significantly less about most of your... Okay, hold up. I gotta think about this, because I'm like, what do I need to hit this with in order to open the door? And get on the floor and walk the dinosaur? Because I don't remember seeing a nut here at all, actually. Come to think of it. Ah, here we go. That'll be why, because it was there the whole time. Well, I can't wait to fail a really easy mechanic again. What'd I tell you? What's in this chest? I don't even remember this here. Yeah, it is definitely true, by the way, to say that there's a lot fewer things to worry about than it ever really looks like. Oh. Oh, do I have to hit the other one? I'm sorry, I got confused, because... Yeah, you can probably understand why. Oh, no. I was doing the right thing, I just... am in a bad position for this, and also this thing is bouncing around like, well, like it's made of rubber. Or something. The other thing, I guess, like, again, this depends on how it feels in the hand, but definitely take full advantage of being able to set up your multiple bars and hotkey the third one to, like, alt end your number. Which is what I do now, so... That said, yeah, most classes... Yes, because I don't know what efficiency is. And I always just look at my stuff and I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's good enough. And I never actually remember to... I do want to keep it in... I do want it to be kept in mind that I don't do that because I'm sweaty. I do it because I'm stupid. Anyway. I got distracted. Sorry. I'm thinking about nuts. Okay. I hate this thing. Am I just not, like, going far enough over with it? What is the deal? Why can I not make this baby jump? When did I get this bad at the... This is pretty next level bad gaming for me. I've said before, and in fact I said it literally to you earlier today, Tav. I'm not good at video games. But also, like, this seems pretty next level bad at video games. You know what? I'm just gonna throw from here. Well, that didn't quite do what I had hoped it to, but... That's better. Okay, that does make the jump easier. It also helps because Link has his hands free. I was gonna do a whole... Like I said, I was gonna do a thing where I don't talk about this very much, but I ended up in a point where I just was playing like trash, so... Anyway, back to normal, I think. What's the airflow situation looking like in your PC and like number of fans and stuff? Because I guess it could be quite possible that like there's just a relative lack of venting surface, or I don't know, you accidentally had it too close to something else for a brief period, or if nothing else, yeah, give it some compressed air, give it a you know, empty out that dust that may or may not be there. May as well do it for like safety reasons, cause yeah. that's not really a bad idea, because goodness knows those things get way dustier than you think they do. I'll say. I mean, I'm sure you don't need to be told that. You've had a PC for a while. But I swear I can look at, like, any of my anything, you know, when I start cleaning up stuff in the area over here, you know, most of my stuff, maybe there'll be a little bit of dust here and there, and then I go look at the computer and it's like, oh my god! There's enough in here to knit a sweater. I'm not saying that would be a good idea, by the way, so don't... I'm not out here advertising dust sweaters. The need for recycling is not quite that great yet. You know, now I'm trying to remember if I showed off the swatter in Hypnospace Outlaw when I played that, like, I think I played that like a year and a half ago, where it's the guy who says he's from the future and he's advertising a sweater that's full of water that's like otherwise made of like plastic or something. But yeah, those things just like immediately just filled with dust. And you don't have to do anything for that. You can live in a completely clean house. No dust, no pets, no smoking, no I don't know, anything else like that. And you'll just open it up and you will have the entire neighborhood's worth of dust in there. Vacuum PC. Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, you talk about PC case, and I'm going to think about those things that you sent me a while back that were like $400 or something, but they were very pretty. Unfortunately, $400 for a new PC case, even if it is in a nice pastel color, it seems a little extreme for me. Unless it's really big. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm using a full-size ATX now, but it would have to be bigger than that. It would have to be, like, server size. Okay, I don't know if I'd go that far, but also, like, that is still, like, ooh, that's alarming. I'll just stick with these stickers I bought on Redbubble. Which, I do want to... I want to take a moment to say that, my god, Redbubble's shipping prices. And that's why I bought those stickers when it was the free shipping sale, because every other time I've used that site, it's been like, hey, you want a t-shirt where the shipping price is like $10? And, you know, for a $20 t-shirt, that's a little bit... That seems a little bit over the top. But I suppose I don't really know 100% what their supply chain and everything looks like, so it could be... There could be reasons for the complexity, but, yeah. I had to pay shipping on several envelopes of stuff recently when I did a TCG player order, which I think I mentioned. Okay, yeah, that does kind of make sense then, I guess. Although also, yeah, speaking of like printed stuff like that, I'm kind of curious if there are places out there on the internet where I can get custom printed, like, well, most things really, but in particular, I would really be interested if I can do that for, like, well, card game supplies. Don't judge me. I don't play any of them anymore in IRL, but you know, custom printed card sleeves would be kind of neat. And a custom printed. I actually use a playmat right now as a mouse pad kind of thing. Ah, Joy Pendant. I got one recently-ish, and I feel slightly bad because I'm quite confident that this is someone's art and it was made without their, like, without their knowings and stuff. But it's a thing that I got on eBay with the best Tuhu on it. But to be fair, like, official of any of that obviously is not going to be a legit thing, so. Because Tuhu doesn't have, like, merchandise made by Zun or anything like that. Yes, by the way, regarding not a lot of cases with 5¼ inch bays anymore, that pissed me off sideways because I actually did have to replace my case a couple years ago on account of the fact that my 1080 Ti was, like, right up against the wall of the other one. I was not comfortable with that, and also the power cable was a little bit on the crusty side, so I guess need might be a strong word, but I was like, which is a sound that I make frequently, apparently, because I swear every time I have to make, like, a goofy sound, I just do that. Usually for even longer. But, yeah, and I went looking, and it took me a surprising amount of effort to find what I'm using, because I wanted something with a 5¼ because I still use CDs like some kind of fucking weirdo, apparently. At least I'm sure the music industry would get mad at me for that, but because there's not as much money for the executives in that as compared to, like, a Spotify subscription. And they'll be like, oh, but you're saving money. Yeah, but I'm not saving my having any of the fucking stuff. So yeah, which, you know, to me, again, CD, it's having a CD drive, it's a big deal. Well, I think mine's a Blu-ray drive, but it plays CDs, and that's the important part. And yeah, Spotify is doing something with subscription costs recently that apparently just means less money for the artists. And so on top of the fact of just, hey, I'd like to be able to access this in a free manner whenever possible, that doesn't have anything to do with internet connection, and also I'm not a huge, like, I'm not, like, insano about sound quality to a level that some people are. My hearing isn't that good, but if you're charging me money so that way I can have 192 kbps MP3 quality, basically, which is what I've been informed is about the sort of level that Spotify's premium stuff is at, is basically roughly 192 kilobits per second. I could just rip that off of a CD, and I rip those at that sort of level for casual listening and taking on the go anyway, so pfft. All the executives are concerned about is getting theirs. Unless you're stupid popular, you kind of suffer in terms of what you get for streaming music. So it's not a great time Alright, so that pot will take us to later on. I'm just trying to remember where I'm supposed to go here because I don't actually remember the whole of this dungeon super well. We can't really get over there right now. Wait, no, we have to, right? So where's the other path that I haven't seen? Is there a grappling hook location or something that I'm missing? Oh no, I had to actually go over here and just break this thing with my sword, right? I'm being stupid. I thought I had to break this with the dungeon item that I will not spoil. It's a boomerang. Oh shit! I did it anyway. Sorry. Everybody's gonna be mad at me. Yeah, the Deku Leaf is pretty good. It can be used as a glider for some reason. Oh, do I need the boomerang for this? This feels like I'm not making any headway. Yeah, we're on the 4th. I don't remember how this place works. I'm sorry, folks. I'm dumb. Oh, right, I have a key. It might be best to just go like, hey, yeah, go where the keys tell you to. Yeah, the Deku Leaf is pretty magical. You can use it as a glider, a parachute, a thing that blows wind. But man, can you believe Nintendo is out here letting you have a magical leaf? If you tell the conservatives about this, they will be so Oh, that thing's not dead. Very funny game. God damn it, now I don't know how to get it. All right, reset my position back over here, because now I'm just like, wait, how the hell do I get over there? If I can stop locking onto the P-hat for a second would be good too. P-hat. Because this seems like, yeah, nothing's more linear than 13. Come on, that's a little extreme. And nothing's more bizarre than how they handled the sex balance of the party in 13, but I digress. Okay, you know what? That works. I'm going to assume that that was the intended solution and not just me being like, well, it's janky, but I'll do it. Me as otherwise, yeah. Oh, hey, look, it's a moth. I feel... Oh. I was gonna say, I feel a little bit... Fuck you, Audrey. Come on, cut me some slack here. Game. It's definitely somebody's fit. Oh, sorry. I probably should, like, not say things like that so much. I'm gonna have to say even worse things now that I've... Ah, yes, here comes the heart alarm. Where did the other one go? I think it just decided to leave. Leave. Well, my question is, how much do they like this part of the game, then? Oh. Oh, hey, look, it's a moth. Something. I feel a little bit bad about killing one of my own, but then the other one just started pooping those weird eggs on me, so I suddenly anything like that is just kind of gone. Oh, hey. Okay, it's not a counterattack thing. It's really just... Oh, no, there is a counterattack for the attack that I couldn't see. Good. I'm really not covering myself in a whole lot of glory here. I want that. All these little spike ball dudes are kind of causing a big problem. I prefer to have like mobility and stuff. Okay, yeah, the grappling hook isn't doing anything anymore. Stop fucking around me. Oh wow, we cut off one of its wings. I forgot that that's what happens. Then again, I also completely forgot that it had a counterattack mechanic, so hang on a sec, I'm just taking a quick look at these computer pictures. I mean, yeah, that's doing it's staying relatively low dust, except for the parts where it's old. Oh yeah, orb full of drops, which is going to be significantly less now. But yeah, I stole a gold feather from that thing. You can steal a gold feather from the P-hats also. I don't know if they drop them of their own volition, but again, I don't think that there's much of a reward for farming the gold feathers except to be able to sell them to Beetle, which is money in this game, yeah. There's like 2 minutes when we might need that. And also, the other one, I think, is a piece of heart, so not so much in our interest right now, but we got ourselves a boomerang. That's right, Link has become an Australian. Door's still locked, right? Yes. Okay, so this is one of the most powerful boomerangs in the game. Next to, like, maybe the one in Link's Awakening. But I have to actually show this off properly. The boomerang can target up to 5 targets at once. And it actually does damage to a lot of enemies instead of just stunning them. It's not like the OOT one. It also flies a lot faster. At least I think it does. It sure feels like it does. Oh, that's funny. We kill these things with the grappling hook if they're exposed. That's incredible. I didn't even remember that at all. Huh. Well, you see, I don't remember that because Link to the Past and I frequently fail to get along. So yeah. All right, now we're in this room full of these things, full of dangling nut. The jokes really do just write themselves. Twitch Automod, can you explain to me why you always do that for the word Armos? I'm going to assume that it's like something offensive in some language, probably. And fair enough. But have you seen how well Twitch does when it comes to actually defending people? Automod really is just kind of a big ol' fig leaf over their nethers. It's a big old Deku leaf over their nethers, you might say. Hooray, Joy Pendant. And it is truly unfortunate, by the way, that we really haven't gotten a real alternative to this particular platform. Just as the case is with video stuff too. I mean, what am I gonna do? Stream on fucking Hitbox? Are you kidding me? Hitbox? More like, I don't even know if that's around anymore, box. Maybe someone on the Twitch team just really did not enjoy the sheer propensity of them in Z1. I don't know. Which, to be fair, there's definitely a lot of screens in Zelda 1 where it's like, hey, yeah, do you want just like 10 Armos statues and that's it? Okay, so fair enough, but I'm also kind of out here going, how many people on this platform know who the Arma people are of the Niger River Valley? Which I don't even know that, okay? And I bet that like 80+% of the platform would be confused by the most normie ass shit possible. Oh, do these grabby hands steal your magic? I didn't know that until just now. Again, though, it has been kind of a while since I played this, though, so you know. Like, listen, I feel like the average Twitch user still refers to Romany by the, you know, the extremely outdated word. Oh sure, Delia, you played Honkai and you met Aventurine. Now you're an expert on the subject, aren't you? Compared to a lot of people, I don't want to be that person, but I will say goddamn people are dumb once in a while. Oh Jesus, the Reddit thread about ABO. Oh my god. Listen, the most offensive part about that is the fact that it originates from Supernatural fandom. So, like, pick your fucking battles, people. Was that an auto mod or was that just a regular? Cause I'm just thinking about all the things that you've gotten in shit for from mods period on Twitch, and it's like, I know you. Then again, it was also in the context of you being like, what's up, my fellow incels, to a Dota chat, so like, oh, that's still like one of the funniest things that you've ever told me. It's right up there. It's right up there with the other story about you getting banned for saying Hoodwink's butt. So, that and bone sugar, that's pretty good. Bone sugar. Shit. Sorry, I was thinking about bone sugar. Bone sugar, the much... hang on a second. I gotta figure out where I'm going with this, but, it ends in the phrase booger sugar is the other part, so... Because we're not mature people on this part of the interwebs. Yeah, yeah, you watch Dota and you get banned from chats, so, if I ever stream Dota, which I probably won't because, yeah, I will be sure to ban you preemptively, so get your fucking alts in order, son. Oh, the auto mod, I mean, as we figured out recently, the auto mod is definitely, like, way oversensitive about some matters and has been for a while. And that's the thing, is that people who are being truly offensive usually tend to talk around that kind of stuff because they do actually know, for example, that people don't like it very much when you say the actual hard words. Again, almost like they're insulting to people. And yet, at no point do they ever reconsider their personal values or grow on a human level. Not once is Twitch giving you the pop-up to celebrate. Well, that's a load of honky bullshit. I can't possibly be allowed to say honky on this platform, right? I know how these sorts of campaigns to make more inviting spaces go. Even if it is following the phrase bullshit and just like the term honky bullshit has become a thing that's been so ingrained in my vocabulary for reasons that have nothing to do with like actual white people, other than the fact that it's always white people who say it. But you know, again, maybe I should be like avoiding saying this, but I'm not a tasteful individual. Anywho, hey, I was waiting for this thing to get out. I forgot what exactly I was going for here, other than like, hey, yeah, Twitch is not really the best at a lot of this stuff because, again, a lot of these things tend to like slip past an auto mod like that because, you know, somebody who's coming into a chat to be offensive to black people, for example, is not going to just drop the N-word, especially not with the hard R, right? They're going to talk around it, probably. Statistically speaking. About the only one you get with that is anti-Semitism, where they'll just outright say, oh, the Jews, but I mean, also, that's just like, you know, not really that far off from how people, you know. Do I even need to be in here? This is just for a C chart or something, isn't it? Whatever, we'll do it anyway. Ningen, yeah, there you go. Gets auto-modded for saying weeb. You had me for a second there. I would have believed it because looks at Twitch. Looks at how easily offended weebs are. I mean, listen, do you see how they react to Bridget? At least nowadays. I mean, on a different note, do you see how they react to Bridget back in the day? But that's not exactly the same. Do you see how they're acting about fucking Assassin's Creed, what's it called? Assassin's Creed Shadows, I think, is the new one. I don't pay attention to the Assassin's Creed franchise very much. But, yeah, as I reposted to you on Discord, it is inherently deeply funny to me to see all these people bitching up a storm about Yasuke, a very real historical figure, Yasuke, by the way. And in particular, because the character Nagoriyuki, I don't believe I'm pronouncing his name correctly, from Guilty Gear Strive, is just outright implied to be Yasuke, or otherwise is very clearly inspired. Wow, you mean a black samurai is inspired by the most notable historical black samurai? Yeah, Yasuke is in, like, a lot of Japanese media and is a major inspiration for a lot of... There's a reason why there's a lot of black samurai stories. And it's not just because back in the 70s, black people really loved kung fu movies, which they actually did, by the way. That's not, like, something weird that I'm saying. There are statistics that a lot of black theaters would play, like, you know, blaxploitation kind of like Shaft kind of stuff and kung fu flicks, and they would both get a lot of attention from the same audiences. You know, very interesting how that works. But and by very interesting how that works, I mean, wow, you mean that they would identify with the not white guy being a badass? Wow. But yeah, so it's very funny because due to Bridget things, Guilty Gear Strive has become one of these other big culture war sort of tourist traps, if you will. Meanwhile, there's a character who's also based on the thing that they're bitching about that they never said foul about because none of them actually read the lore. I wouldn't put it past many of them to not be literate enough for it, but maybe that's just me being mean. But it is definitely because a lot of those people don't actually pay any real attention to the stories and a lot of that stuff. Otherwise, they would know, well, they might know some, and I say they would know. That's a bit of a stretch because they would continue to ignore it probably, but there would be significant evidence that Japanese culture is and has been a little bit more forward thinking on a lot of matters for a very long time. And I don't want to come in here and say that, hey, the culture was fucked by the Meiji Restoration, but also, I mean, yeah, there is a lot of... If you go back into Japanese history, there's a lot more interesting stuff going on before, like, the 1860s. At least with regard to those very specific matters. Oh, we got more... Well, this time you couldn't see them, so they really are ghost birds, huh? As they come in bringing 2 to 2 feral hogs. Unfortunately, Link isn't allowed to have his AK anymore, or something. Excuse me. So I'm trying to remember also, like if there's been any weirdos saying anything about that, like with regard to Pokemon recently. And by recently, I mean like just Scarlet Violet era in general. I think it's mostly just been people bitching about glitches, and you know what? I'll take that because fair enough. I get where you're coming from, even if I think it's minor, but... oh. Other way, I guess. Right, because we gotta go out the back here or something, right? It's not. Help, I'm dumb. I forgot where things are. Oh, right. I'm gonna be honest with you. I actually did not really remember about Grusha in general. But I think Grusha is just... I think in that case, it's more like, hey, Grusha is subject to the woes of being an Ice-type gym leader. You know, not for nothing, but Ice... Well, Ice is not a type that you want to be most of the time. What, only two? That's all you think? Well, I mean... But yeah, I don't really remember a whole lot of that, but also, why would you want to remember any of this stuff, right? Yeah, no, I don't think that the point is, like, political correctness or anything like that, or, you know, that it's not to get brownie points with people, because realistically at this point I don't think that it's really a thing. Bridget's story, from what I remember for Strive, is like a matter of self-discovery, basically, sort of thing, and hey, I think that's a good kind of story to have. That, and let's be real, I think that it's probably a good idea just to be like, hey, we're going to re-examine this character specifically because of how the character was... Oh, that's on a timer. Is it? Yes, it is. I wasn't just imagining... I was like, wait a second, or is that just, like, ticking because that's what things do? Yeah, that's kind of what I was... I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, the other part, I think, on some level, really is like, hey, it might be a good idea to re-examine this character considering how other people have been using the character. I mean, Bridget has just been a shorthand for some things that are really not okay for a good long time. Like, the way people talked about those matters on the internet has not been super great. I'm really glad that any of my, like, self-discovery was by, like, the mid-20s, really. So that way there was at least some part of the internet where I could say that and it wouldn't almost get me killed. That's a stretch, but it wasn't exactly a fun place for a lot of folks at that time. Also, so the way the mini-map controls work in this, and this is something that I clearly forgot, is that the right button on the D-pad toggles whether you're zoomed in or out on the mini-map. Instead of being like, hey, yeah, right zooms you in, left zooms you out. Left closes the minimap instead. That, I don't know, that feels really weird. Oh, they got out of there immediately. That's fine. A thing with the idea of, like, oh, well, shoehorning stuff into a game only to send a message, that I don't feel like that happens very often, and when it does, it's not well written to begin with. So at the very least, let's go get this orb and get that. We should go on to the boss, folks. And hey, look, it's another room full of nut. As ever, the jokes truly just write themselves. We still have a fairy. Yeah, we still have a fairy. And we only have access to one bottle at this point. I don't think we can get more bottles, right? Not until a little later on. Because we don't really have free sailing so much. Yeah, sorry, I guess I misread or misinterpreted. That's the version of the word misread I'm using here. Anyway, it would be real smart if I saved before this boss, huh? So that way if I accidentally back into that heart container like an idiot, I'll be able to reload it and go, hey, yeah, here's how you suck less at this boss. Oh, hey, look, it's a potato wearing a leaf. Oh, God, look out behind you, potato. Actually, that's the item that you get in Risk of Rain to give you just extra max health. Our second boss, this one is unique-ish. And by unique, I mean it's like... It's a really shitty Baronade from OOT. Except that we can't nut on it like we could in OOT, where we just, like, obviated the entire boss fight by just nutting on Baronade constantly. Just gonna dig myself a little deeper here. Anyway, this thing is called Kalademos. This is the only time this appears in the franchise, as far as I know. And there is something quite special about this boss, which is that you can actually instantly kill it if you collect a bottle of forest water. However, forest water only stays fresh for like 20 minutes or something. And in case you haven't noticed, I'm not good at this game. I could probably leave and come back, but I would just fuck that up somehow instead. Like, I would, I don't know, I'd like forget how to do the flight over or something, because you have to fly to the dungeon every time, right? As far as I know. Crud. Not even a 2-cycle. That's pretty bad. I'm playing this like garbage. I'm playing this like hot Pepsi. And I'd like to apologize for any of you who heard the phrase hot Pepsi and kind of cringed a little bit, because I gotta admit that doesn't sound like a good time. Anyway, yeah, see ya in the next the next time you are here. Let's It's because it haunts me, is why. God, a 4-cycle on this fight. What am I doing? And the answer is I'm getting a funny camera angle and playing badly, but one thing at a time, I suppose. Speaking of Pepsi products, Mountain Dew promotion for FF14. I gotta say, I find it very funny that they decided to go with the Mountain Zoo mount as their choice there. That's a top quality bad joke. And quite frankly, that is exactly the kind of bullshit that I would expect out of FF14. Hooray, we beat it. 3 of the 4 flavors are not in your area. Ooh, that sucks. I legitimately, I have no idea what the deal is with availability of that stuff. around these parts. I don't drink a whole lot of dew. Excuse me. Oh, good. We didn't accidentally walk into the heart container. I find it very funny that all the Koroks just call Link Swordsman. That's just kind of very amusing to me. That's right. Mr. Gigantic Chin sent me. Yeah, so I also don't really know like what any of the 200-point flavors taste of even remotely. Quite frankly, the only dew that I know that I enjoy is Code Red. I bet somebody's gonna come in here and be like, ew, you like Code Red? That's like paint thinner, dude. And I'll be like, well, guess I drink paint thinner, huh? Yeah, Code Red is a 100-pointer only, sadly. I do admit that I'm sorely tempted to just be like, hey, yeah, I need to go double check how many points it is for that Major General. And just see about doing that because, hey, Major General, A+. I do know some local dudes, and I should see if any of them have, if any of them will be like, hey, yeah, hey, can I get your dew codes? If any of you drink dew. Because, yeah, hey, anything to eat into potentially needing to drink 40 Code Reds. I thought it was a pun, okay? I thought you were making like a Call of Duty joke because, you know, dew is like the thing that all the gamer nerds drink. Oh, the potatoes are singing, sorry. The Koroks are pretty great. And off they go to set up a side quest that I have never actually done. Oh yeah, they're taking all the Great Deku Tree's seeds to go plant them in various islands. Okay, so with that having just happened, I will be right back, everybody. All right, everybody, I'm back. Told you it wouldn't be long. While I was up from the desk, I started thinking about text-to-speech voices again, and I'm like, man, I would love to have one that's just Homestar Runner. I would find that very, very funny if I could just make my computer and my alerts talk like Homestar Runner. Unfortunately, there's only so many words that Homestar Runner has ever said, so I'm just like, ugh, but then it would have to be filled in by AI, wouldn't it? And I got really sad again. Also, I realized I never finished making fun of the Poke Rogue shit because I got tied up in talking about 14 and making fun of people for the things related to Bridget and Yasuke and that. So yeah, clearly I'm not going to be playing Poke Rogue anymore because, yeah, the dev is a shithead, and also I gave it some thought, and that kind of game had, you know, reached a point of not being satisfying, and probably I need to play fewer games that are just about grinding for no real reward. And yeah, Irene, I did see what you said earlier about Quest 64 and the grind for stats. You are correct. I legitimately forgot about that entirely. So, yeah. Apologies, I suppose? Anyway, yes. The other thing that I will say about the Poke Rogue situation is that I feel like some of the response has been a little bit overkill on some people's parts. Not because I'm saying that, hey, telling somebody that a developer is a bad person and maybe you should reconsider supporting them is, you know, I'm not decrying that, obviously, but, so in the wake of this, the main place that I learned about any of it was from somebody who was tweeting advertising Pokemon Emerald Rogue, which, okay, so sure, I get why you would want to do that, because somebody would probably be looking for an alternative as a game type, because most people aren't going to be me and go, oh yeah, actually, you know what, I kind of got sucked into something that was really pointless, wasn't it? And as much as I do want a sweaty Pokemon game to be sweaty about, at that point, I'll just replay Uranium, and I can't believe I'm saying that. So, these people were saying that there was some very pointed evidence of the devs inserting their transphobia into the game. Their examples of this were to point out, A, instances of two specific evolutions, which are Kirlia's evolution into Gardevoir and Gallade, and Snowrunt's evolution into Glalie and Frostlass. And to say, well, instead what they do here is they evolve by level and the Pokemon's sex, which, by the way, it is sex, not gender. They're animals. I know that Pokemon are frequently a little bit more sentient than, but I'm gonna put that forward as just like, you know, I feel like you're being a little bit overkill here. There are no recorded instances in canon of a Pikachu cutting a notch into its tail. And if they do show up, then I will change my tune. But it's largely a case of, oh, you can't say the word sex in front of children, even if that's the biologically appropriate. So regarding that, the way the evolution normally works is that Kirlia evolves into Gardevoir at level 30, or evolves into Gallade if you feed it a Dawnstone at any level if it's male. And Snowrunt and Glalie and Frostlass are kind of similar, where Snowrunt becomes Frostlass if you give it a Dawnstone, and becomes Glalie if it reaches level 37 or something. I forget. So that's what these people are complaining about, and I would say to remember Hanlon's Razor in this case, because Poke Rogue may have looked very impressive, but it was still a buggy piece of shit at times. Like, we encountered quite a few very bizarre performance bugs. There were some other like shit that I didn't get to show off. A lot of stuff was incomplete. The proto-synthesis ability, I had some trouble with that regarding stat calculation. Like, it was raising the wrong stat, which is dirt easy to not fuck up. And, you know, stuff of that nature. And moves didn't have implemented effects yet. Like, the triple kick and triple axle were ones, again, that is very simple to do, that was not implemented, and knockoff didn't have an effect, which, okay, you might have to be a little bit creative with that, but like, how hard can it possibly be if you've built everything else? So again, I don't think it's the devs being, you know, putting their politics in there. I think that's them being too stupid to be able to put the Dawnstone in. And on the other case, there were people who were pointing out that, oh god, I'm trying to remember all this. They were like, oh yeah, some of the genderless Pokemon they have genders. This is NB Erasure, which again, it's a sex, not a gender, but I digest. And is this guy giving me he gives me a piece of heart. So, okay, we got one. But our point is getting no more than that many heart containers, and I think we have to pick that letter up anyway. So, Boo earns, I guess. What it seems to be, as far as I can tell, because all of these cases are like very specific legendary Pokemon. The idea was, it wasn't, hey, there's no genderless Pokemon. It was these very specific, formerly genderless Pokemon, and indeed, I should probably stop saying the phrase genderless because that's not accurate, had their genderlessness removed, which, it's because those were very specific characters, too, that they were referencing. It's one of those things that's like, hey, it may not necessarily be a smart idea, but a large part of it really is that this is something that's coming up at the time. I don't think that if this person hadn't just outed themselves as a transphobic evangelical, blah, 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 blah. If they hadn't just outed themselves as being an evangelical and hadn't just been outed as being a huge transphobe, you guys would not have cared about Meloetta being marked as female, because there was a female Meloetta. And the same with that Zacian, I think was the other one that people were pointing out. That I guess this is a thing in the anime or something. I don't know. I don't care about that fucking weeb shit. I'm kidding. I care more than I probably should. But the point here is that it's something that is dumb, but not for the reasons that these folks were saying. And I don't think it's such a great idea to lump that in with the fact that, you know, with any of the things they were saying on their Discord. Or the fact that you really mean to tell me that a guy landed on the front page of the ranks for a daily run with a username expressing the fact that they were an anti-Semite and a transphobe. Which, you know, obviously it was less complicated sounding than that. I'm trying to avoid saying the actual string of words that were in it. You know, I think the fact that you had no moderation is more evidence of the fact that of that fact than, oh, you did something stupid that actually is just a reference to the anime that a lot of people have fairly understandably not watched. I haven't actually watched it either, so I don't know that I have a ton of room to talk shit, but here we are. I'll do it anyway. I also saw at least a couple people talking like, oh, well, it's a really unbalanced game. It's so easy to get a run where you're a god. And first of all, not as immediately as all that. You have to do a lot of work in order to unlock all that stuff, and even then, luck is involved. And B, it is a roguelike. That is actually kind of the structure of most modern roguelikes. I take it that you don't like Isaac or Risk of Rain or anything like that. And I mean, I don't like Isaac either, but that's not because you can become overpowered. In fact, actually, I find that it's very much the opposite in Isaac. My experience with it has been it's very hard to get a good run. And yes, I did unlock everything way back in the day when Isaac Rebirth had first come out. But I had to do a lot of resets and basically cheating by crashing the game in order to get any of those stupid runs for the Lost. Because, yeah, otherwise that's kind of bullshit. But I digress. This is not a thing where I talk about Isaac and whether or not it's balanced. It's more to say, hey, that's the concept nowadays. That's how people design these, and I think that's a bigger issue than being like, oh yeah, this dev is bad for that. No, this dev is bad because they don't know how to program a goddamn Dawnstone. And again, I maintain that it's they don't know, and not that any of the weird political stuff, because again, I've seen the quality of the rest of things. I bet there is some impressive, wasteful spaghetti code involved there. Anyway, we're sailing a boat here, and I've run out of things to talk about, except for that cloud that just entered the draw distance. That's... yeah, I see the cloud that showed up. Clouds? It's made of chunks, yep. Don't call me a hoe. Come on, man. That's just mean. There's a plot going on, but I mean, mostly it's just like Ganondorf is being... Oh, sorry, Ganondorf has dropped the Dorf from his name. I didn't mean to dead name him, sorry. That's rude of me. It's a habit. It's because of all of the other timelines. I don't know. I got a question. How much of a lore Bible do you think these guys actually have for the Zelda series when it comes to all these, the nightmare of a branching timeline that it apparently has and skipping around in the continuity? How planned is this, and when did it become more or less planned, I guess, is the other case. Okay, so at this particular point, we're going to be heading towards Outset, but I've got a little bit of other stuff to do there as well, other than just like anything plot related, because yeah, we have to go visit there and be like, oh yeah, we need some bombs, right? Oh no, he wants me to go to Windfall first. Well, you know what, Buster? I don't feel like it, because we are not on a timer whatsoever. And in fact, we got different overworld music for now. There is, however, something kind of near Outset Island that we can go pick up. Oh, hey, a YouTuber is trending on Twitter again. Which sounds like a stupid thing to say, but it's a very specific YouTuber. In this case, it's Jenny Nicholson, whose content I don't really know anything about. But she apparently released a 4-hour video recently, and I gotta say, I'm a little bit jaded on these gigantic videos nowadays, probably because, hey, we just got through an era where somebody is just doing that, and it's like, hey, you're not even producing content, you're just producing length. But, hey, who cares about that? Answer, apparently I care a little too much, but I digress. I digress. I need to digress less or something. The location we want to go to is one to the east of Outset Island, so hopefully I'm going in that direction now. I don't remember where in the square it is, but it's there. And it's something that I'm surprised has not, like, actually killed us yet. Because it absolutely would normally. That thing you sent me on Discord looks very nice, by the way. Tav, if you're still here. I would not necessarily be surprised if you were not, because I know you're not a big Zelda head, and I can't say as I blame you. Alright, so we're getting pretty close to the square anyway, so, I feel like I should look up, like, where in this area I can find this Chucklehead, but I'm sure that if I just scout around, eventually I'll find it and I'll just be like, ah, shit, I'm not prepared, even though I'm totally prepared. Totally awesome. Wait. Totally awesome. What a good choice of a card name for a big frog monster in Yu-Gi-Oh! Every once in a while, they really do hit. I did remember, by the way, to order, I ordered that one monster that I showed you on Discord, and you were like, do you have that one? And I was like, no. No, it was me who brought up the fact that I didn't have it, because you probably just assumed. I'm having a conversation with a person who's probably not here, sorry. Yes, the one that I ordered was what's it, number 87, I think, Queen of the Night, to go with the other plant people. I also ordered, I ordered a card that's like a staple of the current format, which almost makes me feel bad, but they've printed Nibiru enough times that I don't feel bad about that. No, I did not go in for the quarter century Nibiru, which I posted about on Twitter and was like, oh my god, it's $55. Fuck you. No, I went for one that was a little bit more reasonable because, yeah, I'm not paying $55 for that. Although I was tempted because, again, it was going to be like part of a video prop. I have an upcoming, well, I have several upcoming videos. I need to actually start recording those and, you know, piecing a few more assets and stuff together, as I've said before. But it's a video about the Chrono series, and I was gonna have, I was considering seeing if I could find somebody who would do an alter of the card and, like, alter the art into Lavos or something. But if not, it's, even then, it's still kind of usable because it's a big fucking asteroid monster. Which makes me go, I have seen very few altered Yu-Gi-Oh cards in my life. So I'm curious if there's some sort of like regulation regarding those. It's never come up. I know that there are, well, there's technically some regarding Magic. It's just that they're a little bit loose. And I've seen a ton of altered Magic cards. I actually still have a couple somewhere, I think. They're not on the sort of level of like what you usually see for altered Magic cards, which is like, hey, we took a textless island and we drew a big titty anime girl on it. No, I am not that tasteless. I think. In before somebody says something and I start going, well, I mean, in that case, don't do that. I'll cry, I think. Can you show me a... No, I just wanted like a little thing that I could see how much of the square I've covered here. Because I'm always concerned that I'm going to be missing like gigantic swaths of this because of the speed of the turn and everything. Oh, here's a submarine. A submersible. Oh, I get it. Wait. Oh, I get it. All right, so what's going on in this barrel here? We got rats. They're throwing bombs at me. You know what? I'm impressed, actually. Good work, Chiefs. And I'm not talking about a Kansas City football team. They don't need more people praising them. I mean, listen, the Swifties are watching football now, so they definitely don't need my help in terms of having emotional support. Thunk. Alright, we're saving before we open this chest just to be sure. It's probably a treasure chart, but if it's a piece of heart, I may reset. I know it's not a bottle. I know where the other bottles are, I believe. I think one of them is at Bomb Island. One of them's at Windfall Island and we can't access it yet. Yeah, see, it's just a treasure chart. That's fine. And there's a fourth that is elsewhere. Okay, listen, I don't remember where they are, but I know it's not here. All right, yeah, one's at Bomb Island. One is at okay, one of them requires us to get the bombs, that way the new beetle shop will open. Wait, no, that's open already, isn't it? I just have to actually get the beetle map, and that'll help me out or something. And the last one's on Windfall, and we can't get it yet. I do remember that. It's on, like, the left side of this area, isn't it? I am in the right spot, right? Oh god, that's funny. I just looked at the... I did pull up a bottle guide, by the way, to go look it up. I just looked at what the author name on it is. This guide is from 2003, but... You know, suddenly extremely funny that the guide is written by a user going by the username Iron Mouse. I highly doubt it's the now very famous VTuber, but god damn, that would be funny. Pause. Wait, no, it's 1 over. I'm being stupid. That's why. This is the location of the Earth Temple, I think. Oh boy, I just spent all that time fucking around for nothing. I'm sorry. Who am I kidding? That's like all I do on stream, so.
Hey.
What? You putz. Oh man. Imagine riding on a vehicle that hates fun this much. Jeez. Okay, we want to avoid that tornado because we can't deal with that at all. So, you know, real good that Buddy Boy's like, hey, it's too dangerous to go this way. And then basically it's like, hey, yeah, you're right in the path of a thing that you legitimately cannot deal with. Meanwhile, at the very least, I can deal with the thing I was trying to go after. But fucking smart Alec over here like, well... Okay. So, we'll be at this for a minute or 12. One of the advantages of playing the Wii U version, which I don't have because I don't have a Wii U, is that you can use a sale that will speed this stuff up. You have to win it at an auction, but whatever. That's a thing that you can deal with eventually. However, like I said, I don't have a Wii U. I should see if I can find one for like a reasonable price sometime this year when I've got a little bit more money. Just because it would probably not be a bad idea to have one, at least to like hack. Jailbreak was the term I was going to use, but oh. Yeah, when you're going at high speeds, it is typically not easy to steer. So they've got some pretty big Octoroks out here that shoot bombs. Those are just a normal part of the ocean, by the way. It's not because, hey, yeah, it's spooky. Okay, we're almost there. It is a little bit hard to see, at least for me. I assume it's basically the same for everybody else watching. I don't know why we turned like that, but okay. Thanks. I understand the cutscene at least a little bit, but we're trying to go straight to the island. Come on. Don't be silly, game. Or do, I suppose. I'm not your mother. Do I look like the executive producer? No, I'd probably be a little better at the game, though, if I was. Oops. All right, well, let's go sneak onto a pirate ship, huh? Or something. Get around the bush, Link. Come on, it's just a bush. It's just one of the worst presidents we've ever had. Man, I gotta say, by the way, it's really weird. And I've said this before, and it's not like this is particularly spurred by a specific recent thing, but it has been an overall trend where you've got people who clearly do not remember the Bush administration. Who are like, oh, George Bush doesn't seem so bad now after Donald Trump. And yeah, I mean, yes, I would rather, if made to choose, but I'm not also. Like, the other point is that just because he's not the literal worst, perhaps we should not be ranking evils, Like, that seems like an unhealthy behavior. That seems like a very bad thing to do. That seems like not good on many levels. Because you'll get stupid people eventually who are like, oh, well, he wasn't the worst. That means he must have been good. No, there was nothing to praise about that motherfucker. It just absolutely the fuck not. And remember, also, keep in mind that I'm probably the youngest person here by, like, at least 1 or 2 years. Tav is a couple years older than me, if he's still watching, which I don't think he is. And I know Irene is older still. So when 9/11 happened, I was 11 years old. It happened literally a week after my birthday. So, maybe I was ultimately born under a bad sign, right? But also, I just think about the fact of how badly handled it was. And it has to have been on purpose. That, again, I went to a very small school. Like, we had less than 300 students at the school that I went to because starting in 4th grade, I was transferred over to a gifted school, which, hey, that's real cool. That probably didn't exacerbate any of my mental health issues at all, right? Things were badly handled enough, even there, that I was convinced, seriously, that there was a real risk associated with being there, that somebody might want to kill us. And again, obviously this was done on purpose on behalf of not just the George W. Bush administration, but also the media, who were a little bit too happy to start ginning up the fear of brown people. They wanted us to be afraid of Muslims. They wanted us to think they were all terrorists. Ultimately, so that way they could make, when they moved to crush the Intifada, make that more palatable. Okay, no, it wasn't literally just for that, but it probably didn't hurt them. But, like, legitimately, they I would say they traumatized me more than the terrorism did. And again, obviously, it's all the fault of those people that we fucked everything up because, hey, the terrorists were Saudis and the Republican Party has been kissing their ass for legitimately the fuck ever. So, like, but I don't want to get too deep into the geopolitics weeds here. Just like, hey, yeah, don't you start coming out here trying to make George W. Bush look better. Put it this way, he was our worst president, and then the guy who's even worse is in a category that somehow exists below that defies logic. Look at his absolutely luminescent blush. Buddy, did you eat some, like, radioactive rocks or something? And I like how Tetra is just standing there in the corner doing absolutely nothing. And it's not even like she's the... It's not even like you would assume that she's the least physically competent out of the group. They got this fucking nerd here who's, got twigs for arms. I'm willing to bet that Nico needs a Goron bracelet in order to... Or is that Nico? Fuck, I don't remember. I'm willing to bet that he needs a Goron bracelet to lift bombs, is what I'm trying to say. Because, yeah, he's definitely looking a little bit extreme in that regard. But hey, the pirates are ultimately good guys, so... It's just that they're trying to hide it behind the everything. Oh no, we were spotted. Well, again, they are the good guys, so it's fine. There's no Metal Gear Solid alert sequence. All right, so this is the thing we actually have to pay attention to in the text. Okay, Mako or Mako. It's probably Mako, like a Mako shark. That's his name. Today's password is treasure. So remember the capitalization. Yeah, unfortunately, Tetra doesn't have any, like, out there powers that would make her fit with the Straw Hats, so... Then again, like, if... I don't know a ton of One Piece, but I do know that if she was doing, like, Nico Robin shit, they would probably not be allowed to have that in an E-rated game. Because some of that gets, like, kind of terrifying, if I recall correctly. Like, exactly what you would think, oh, hey, a Fleshcraft style ability would end up consisting of. Where's the pirate ship? It's this way. Remember, today's password is treasure, and we gotta capitalize the T. And yeah, Beko Tsunami, indeed. He does look like a bit of a freaky fish guy, so... It's a fair assessment. Don't fall in the water, you idiot. Alright, there we go. What do pirates love more than the sea? Well, gee, that's actually something that's a little tough because, yeah, treasure is definitely on there, but I feel like I would guess rum a little bit faster. I'd probably also guess pussy a little bit faster, but they definitely wouldn't be able to say that. Rum would be towing the line. God! Why does anybody watch this? Yeah, booty is another good one. Actually, they should have done that because it would be really funny, but, you know... Then again, if you had jokes in a Zelda game, I'm pretty sure that all the sweatiest nerds would get super mad, even though, again, that's kind of been a recurring thing in the Zedlas. Anyway, here's Nico. Anyway, Ratboy Genius wants to do some funny stuff, yeah? Okay, well, we got a leaf, so we can do that a little better. We don't have to worry so much about athleticism. I admit I'm kind of surprised by the fact that there isn't really any tingle anymore, but then again, I don't know, maybe tingle specifically does not fit in the realms of Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, you know, the post-apocalypse Zelda. And to think we can't get Mad Max Zelda going, I would find that kind of funny. Okay, yeah, so we're not in Leaf Zone here. These crate piles don't let us do anything? Okay. I don't remember this puzzle super well, so yeah. Although, again, saying Mad Max is a name, every once in a while I'll say that, and I think about, there was a local car dealer, used car dealer in the Chicago area. I don't know if the guy is still around, named Max Madsen, and unsurprisingly, well, first of all, that's kind of a good name already, but also, you know, he call himself Mad Max Madsen in the ads. They were not nearly as hardcore as I'm making them sound, but you know, that was his nickname for himself, Mad Max Madsen. And I just think about how many of these merchants are like, oh well, I'm mentally unwell because of my good prices, you know. Starting with Crazy Eddie back in the day, right? Man, the Crazy Eddie disco advertisement, if anybody has like never seen that's something to go look up on YouTube. Man, the 70s were a thing, huh? But genuinely, it seems like a bizarre kind of concept to me of like, hey, yes, I am a good business person because I'm not doing okay in the brain area. Although I guess, you know, good business is not necessarily what anybody's looking for. They just want prices. And even then, are you sure that that's the thing that makes you unwell mentally? It's not all the fraud that you engaged in, Crazy Eddie? Because, boy, let me tell you, the original Crazy Eddie did engage in a lot of fraud. I told you, we are really talking about anything except for this game. And the list is gonna get pretty fucking weird once in a while, fellows. Speaking of other things that are not the game that I could talk about, I guess. Yeah, I remember saying this on Blue Sky and on Twitter, that I'm genuinely very sad with how little some of the Gen 6 trainers especially were used. Like, I was specifically complaining about Valerie, because, like, she's not in basically anything. I went and looked on Pokevault, which is a website that sells a lot of Japanese Pokemon Center merchandise, you know, well after the fact. And the only thing that I found for her was a set of card sleeves. And she shows up on all of 2 of the TCG cards, which, you know, to me, that's like, okay, that's a nanoscopic art print. That counts as a thing. That counts as merch. But she's just there on, God, there were cards that were printed years afterwards, too, because they were in the 8th gen. There were Sylveon V and a Sylveon V Max that she's barely technically on the V Max. And it's just like, it's a little bit sad that that's not much of a thing, because I genuinely really like the design. And yet they've done nothing with it. I can hope that Legends ZA produces enough of an invigoration in the interest in Kalos that, like, maybe she'll get something. What if, and I pitched this somewhere, what if in her desire to become a Pokemon, she appears in Legends ZA just like in some absolutely bizarre circumstance? I'm gonna throw them, that's how. Oh. Alright, well, they're gonna race us, and thankfully the gods are going to favor us a little bit here, because we have no day-night cycle anymore. Which means that if the game doesn't decide to fuck me again, I can go and get that magic meter enhancement. I can also, and this is probably more important, I can go get the wallet upgrades. Because there is some expensive shit that I need to buy sometime soon. There's a bottle to obtain from the behelmeted beetle. And actually, I think that's it. Up the ferry map real quick and reconfirm where everything is. All right. So northwest, we can start picking stuff up. Actually, is what I'm doing here. So again, assuming that the King of Red Lions decides to doesn't decide to be a complete wet blanket about us. Anyway, I don't think that there's a ton of Rule 34 of Valerie out there. Not that I've looked, actually, so again, is that even a thing to... I say that like I would look, right? That's the joke. Haha. I'm normal? I mean, wait. Oh no, that's a joke in and of itself. Anywho. We're gonna go and visit the fairy islands and see if we can't get ourselves our upgrades. Again, even before this guy's like, no, go do the plot. And then I'll just be like, well, fine, I guess I'll do the fucking plot. Yeah, don't get the bombs out yet. We can, and they will turn into a cannon on our boat, which is nice. But squints a little bit. I think I see it on the horizon while I see the fish jumping. Yep, here we are. Oh, the mailbox is having a bit of a jig. Whatever you're talking about, buddy. I have no idea. 2 whole letters. Wow. Yay, we got Beetle's chart, so now we know what islands have a beetle. Thank you for looking. Goddamn, Orcus got gigantic handwriting. Yay, we got ourselves an enlarged wallet, which is going to be quite useful. Once we fill it with monies. Let me pull up that bottle map real quick, because I want to see where the locations are here. It's like North Forest Haven, that's Island. That's near Greatfish Island, though. Okay. Okay, it looks like also the second wallet upgrade, which we don't need, is on Outset Island, so that's quite helpful. As I proceed to do this during the worst visibility in the game, because, you know, I think I'm funny, I guess. I don't know. Okay, this is the square that we need to be in, so... And it should get us some extra bombs. Can I get another lightning flash so I can make sure that I'm actually seeing where I'm... Okay, there's one of those outposts, so... That looks like the correct rock. I don't think that's just Dragon Roost far away. Here we are. I was trying to dig a little notch into the island, that's all. Let's see, here's where we need the bombs. You want it? It's yours, my friend. As long as you have enough bombs. Oh, right, that weird red thing is the Deku sapling that hasn't grown yet. You can now carry more bombs. Hooray! We can carry 60, which is already just a wild amount. That is... Is that the most we've been allowed to carry in any Zelda game up to this point? That feels like the most we've been allowed to carry in any Zelda game up to this point. Anyway, speaking of bombs, we're going to actually stay this course a little bit so that way we can go to Bomb Island, which is right here, I believe. Yes. And there's a submarine that we have to explore. Finally, one that'll be, like, worthwhile. Okay, that's a little bit rude, but listen. I haven't heard of any movies, so that joke wouldn't land. Everybody would know that I'm just fucking around. I mean, I have seen a couple of movies, I swear. It's just that I keep saying that because I don't really movies very much. But I have seen some, like, really bizarre shit. So it's like, oh, hey, you've never seen this one really popular, important movie. And I'm just over here like, no, but I can tell you about... I can tell you about Liquid Sky. I can tell you about Phantom of the Paradise. So we're gonna stop off on Bomb Island, even though we don't have to actually, like, do shit here. Because I want to see where this dude's aiming, where old Red Eye is looking. Yeah, if you look at how red this man's one eye is. Jeez. To think that over there would be such a container. A sarcophagus? Is it made of gold? That's not runnable anymore. It's too fucking slow. I do remember a period where gold sarcophagus was limited to 2, though. In fact, there may have been a period where it was even further limited. But I remember when like, the last time that I played Yu-Gi-Oh! in the paper format, there was a period where gold sarcophagus was limited to 2. Because the ability to just tutor anything like that has traditionally been seen, and quite rightly, as very powerful. That's why they like never print those in Magic anymore. Is it still limited? Wow, I'm genuinely surprised. But of course, Yu-Gi-Oh always has this sort of reputation for having a stupidly fast metagame nowadays. And I don't necessarily know that it's really as like turn one as all that. Because clearly there's decks that do setup and they work. Right? So, and there is counterplay. I mean, it's a little silly to be like, oh boy, my hand traps. But those do the thing. And, you know, again, I literally just ordered a Nibiru recently, and that's a thing that people use a not insignificant amount that would slow the game down a little bit in that way. So, you know, get the fuck away from me, rat. I don't need my money being stolen. I'm here for a bottle. Yeah, that surprises me. I thought that... Well, clearly I thought that it was unlimited because, yeah, I suggested, yeah. But yes, I remember it being semi-limited when I was last playing. So they've dropped the hammer on it even harder. And if you're a returning Yu-Gi-Oh player, don't ask what they did with Geki, otherwise you'll fucking vomit. Of course, nowadays, Raigeki isn't, like, super strong because of how many monsters, you know, replace themselves when they die. I hear people refer to that as being a floater quite regularly, and I feel like you don't want to... I feel that that's not exactly the terminology that you really want to use, because a floater, that can also be kind of a slang term that means a turd, so... And yeah, I know how you would feel about that, like, hey, wow, I can't make progress against this board, but also... Ugh. Oh, there's Geki in a structure deck? That's kind of neat. In a weird way. Oh, hey, so I went and looked it up. Apparently, Geki is semi-limited in OCG, but it's fully unlimited in TCG. That's interesting. Also, kind of surprises me that there isn't like a quarter century release of it, just because I know that it's that much of a, well, notorious card that I would expect there to be something like that. Instead, we get Eldritch. That's mean. But I think Eldritch has become a little bit less popular. Okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Lightning Storm? I was about to say Lightning Vortex, but I'm dumb. Alright, so we're in the area where we should be able to find the third... There it is. I see the lump sticking out. Yeah, Lightning Storm. If you control no face-up cards, activate one of the effects. Monsters your opponent controls. Destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls. Gotcha. Okay, I mean... Actually... Lightning Storm does have a very, steep requirement of have no cards. But I think the fact that it's also a flexible effect. Also, yeah, that was not the proper lump of land. That says I'm trying to scan a horizon that I can't goddamn see. Just go down. We can go deal with that thing that I'm looking for. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so I kind of understand why Lightning Storm would be perceived as like, okay, this is a very strong card because it's, yeah, okay, you have no cards on the field. You can almost Geki or you can Harpy's Feather Duster. It's also semi-limited in TCG. I think that I would actually often rather have that over having Geki in the main deck. Just because, again, having options like that is quite strong. But when you said Lightning Storm, I forgot what card that was, and I thought you meant Lightning Vortex, which is the one where it's discard a card to nuke the monsters. I was going to be like, that's silly. Oh, hey, Blue Choo Choo. They dropped Blue Chew Jelly, which is very hard to come by. We're not going to farm these super hard in this game because the amount of blue potions that we're going to need is like 0. Because of no health. Realistically, it's basically like, hey, have you considered just getting what's this other letter about? Why does not interest you? Okay, yeah, this is the not actually beetle sending me. Better collect lots of them. Yeah, you had to add a penny in there so that way the weight would be enough for the postman to notice, huh? It's like when you've got a really shitty warped record and you gotta strap a penny to your stylus to keep it squished a little bit. It's not a good idea, but it works. Anyway. This island, I believe, is more bombs. And you might be saying, you've got 60 bombs already. How many of these damn things do you need? And the answer is yes. That is one fat satchel of bombs. 99 is what we're allowed to carry now. Which is absolutely comical. There is, like, no Zelda game where you could possibly need that many bombs, I don't think. Anywho, yeah, sorry, I didn't respond to Fissure being limited. I do actually remember... I remember a period when Fissure was limited. It was kind of silly. Even back then, it was a little bit silly. There were a couple of other strange card limitations that even for like power level reasons, it's like, okay, this seems a little bit... I want to say that Tribute to the Doomed was limited at one point. And I recall seeing that, and then I pulled Offerings Offerings for the Doomed, Offerings to the Doomed. Offerings for the Doomed, I think it's called. But you know what that is. It's a quick play spell, destroy target monster, skip your next draw step. I recall seeing that in a pack and looking at it and looking at Tribute to the Doomed and being like, so why did you not do anything about this? At least I think Tribute to the Doomed was limited to 1. That seems familiar. But also, I do remember playing that and Reckless Greed as being like a thing a lot, because the way Reckless Greed works, as far as I know, is that it's like, okay, you skip your next 2 draw steps. If you activate 2 Reckless Greeds, it attempts to skip those draw steps twice. And the same thing happens, again, you stack offerings, all these other things that... At least that seems to be the understanding that was always had. Offerings is limited to 1 in speed duels, though. I could believe that. That sort of makes sense. Anyway, say hello to our first big Octo. And for those of you who have never... who didn't know, or... haven't played this game before, you can smack their eyes out with your boomerang. You don't need the cannon. You just need the boomerang. Which is great because, quite frankly, the boomerang is easier to use, and I will take any reason to do less cannoneering. It can take a bit, though. You see, these are taking some damage, but it will work, trust me. Yeah, you can see the eyes are blacked out. Interestingly enough, in the Wii U version, I do know this because I've seen somebody play it, which is what inspired me to play this, by the way. The eyes turn red instead of black when you kill them. Oh, okay, yeah, it's 1 card that's listed as limited to 1 in a deck. That's arguably a little bit more brutal, but also, again, I do kind of get it. Offerings is absolutely like one of those cards that I saw that also. I saw it at a common. I was like, that is disgusting. Anyway, we got our double magic meter. That's the important part here. That seems like a bit of a blowout, right? Like that's a good card. If the overall power level is not super high, then perhaps limiting it is a good idea. Like, oh no, I skipped a draw in a game where decking is a thing. Yeah, we're motoring a little slow here, so, yeah. Right. Tribute to the Doomed is one of those cards that's like, okay, yeah, I get why this is good because it's point removal. And if you're in like the very earliest era and you don't know the card catalog very well, where the main thing that you see is like, hey, Dark Hole or Geki. Oh wait, no, Geki's banned. Or Fissure, which is not targeted, so your opponent can soak it by having like a giant soldier of stone next to their big beats. But when there are actual options, yeah, it's kind of underwhelming unless you're playing something that requires you to discard. For sub 3 hours, the final seconds. Nice. All right, so I guess we gotta go and check in on our grandmother and see that she's doing okay, actually. And by that, I mean we're going to equip a full set of this stuff and go deal with that Great Fairy Fountain. There are also choo-choos out here, so we can get some money, which would not necessarily be a bad idea, because, yeah, that bottle costs like 500-ish. And we do actually need money later on. It's just that it is very easy to get money in this game, so that's why every time I'm like, oh yeah, money, that doesn't matter. That's why. Nice. That's pretty good. That's pretty impressive. All right, we're on the Link side of the island. Sorry. Can't see shit at night. Nice though. Just cutting that close. That's pretty funny. Alright, so we need the wind to go west in order to be able to do any of this. And we're taking a straight west wind here instead of, yeah. Slight waste of magic maybe, but I don't always trust my ability to properly do this because I never approach things straight. You know, you can make the joke on your own here. And relied on confusion. Oh boy. This run already sounds like an interesting bit of, because I do not for the life of me remember what like half of these spells do. And I know that that's true of like anybody who plays Quest 64, but also, yeah, I remember that there's like staff buffs, and those are the main boosting spells that I remember, other than Magic Barrier, which is just profoundly broken. Gain MP back equal damage taken. Right. I do remember what Avalanche does, because of course that's the main nuke spell. I gotta admit that I am sorely tempted to, because I do have a cart now, and I have an N64 and a working capture device. I am sorely tempted to go pull that out and do a fire wind playthrough. With the exception for level 1 healing, but like, that's it. And just be like, okay, how much can I punish myself? Because on the other hand, I do remember that the staff boosts are absolutely sick. Like, staffing somebody is already pretty strong. Vampire's Touch just makes things crazy in terms of your sustain. Power Staff, the damage boost is, well, significant. I don't remember how well it scales into the late game, but I remember that a lot of it is pretty great. And it also reminds me that I believe I have literally never used the spell Extinction in that game. Extinction, for anyone who is not Quest 64 aware, is the instant kill spell. That might be like the only one that's not super well known out of what I'm explaining. Bosses can't remove your... Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot about the fact that, like, every boss has... Pretty much every boss purges your debuffs when they hit you. At least with their short-range spell, which obviously would end up being the thing that I'm doing the most. Does Sulfuring's stupid ground stomp thing that absolutely murders you steal your buffs? It probably does. Steal buffs. Steal your buffs. That would be really disgusting. Oh, so it's significantly weirder than being instant death, which is what I thought it was. That's very amusing. Okay, buff removal starts on Zels. It's mostly just that if you get hit by Sulfuring, you hurt a lot. Behind the bridge. Hey, you. You are a weirdo, sir. Anyway, yeah, so there is apparently, however, a thing that we can get all the way, so I think the fairy fountain is in the forest here, if I'm not mistaken. Meanwhile, that guy is pointing to the Savage Labyrinth, which we can't access right now, and does not contain a fairy fountain. Okay, well, again, if this is like a thing of, hey, do a mod, then in that case, I might wait until I'm able to get like an N64 EverDrive and run it on hardware. But that's also... I could run it on emulator, too. I just seem to recall that Quest 64 emulation is marginally funny. Not enough to really be that concerned in, you know, if I was a serious person, but also I just like streaming things on hardware. Now that I'm able to, you know, now that I have this really good, well-regarded capture card, I probably ought to use it, right? But yeah, it's a thing that will be looked at some point for sure. Because the idea of doing like the roughest possible run does have a certain level of like amusement factor to it. I don't know that a lot of people would be like, oh yeah, I really want to stick around for this, but, well, that's okay. Here we go. Here's our last fairy fountain. And once we have cracked this open, and by crack this open, I mean our part of the wallet here, we can, in fact, just go and finish off our, yeah. Okay, yeah, I got what you're saying. And yeah, that probably would be significantly more, like, enjoyable. Because, yeah, the bosses being able to purge everything from you means that the amount of, like... The amount of stuff that you can build in terms of buffs, because Wind and Fire would be a little bit more buff-oriented. that would cause some problems. Because, yeah, obviously it's a bit of a pain in the ass to make progress if you're trying to re-up Power Staff every turn. So I'd have to like enter and then I'd have to like enter the fight. Enter the fight, I say. I'd have to get in close with it active. You know, get into the fray, as it were, with it active, and then just take that one hit and then possibly just back up and reset it, or just stick close. Also, stacking lots of healing items would probably be a must for, especially for some of them. God, I can only imagine that early on. Like, Silvering's a bastard early on anyway, so I imagine he'd be even worse. Regardless, we got our fairy fountain here. I'm curious as to what's in that treasure ring, but I am so bad at craning treasure, but I'll take a whack at it. Again, I think we have to go talk to our grandmother and see that she's concerned. Which I would be too. Also, if you're thinking, hey, you should have gotten that other fairy now that you have a second bottle, you are correct. I didn't because I'm dumb. Oops. Oopsies. I've never played a video game before. I mean... Sail will actually help us here. Just to expedite some things in a second. Anywho, boat. Yes, we go around the back of the island, I know. I'm hearing that better in my right ear? No. I do have like a weirdly unbalanced stereo hearing. I pulled up that on the left side, but... Oh, well, I overshot whatever that thing is. So that's... By whatever that thing is, I mean this particular treasure ring. Can't tell if I'm moving. Okay, yeah, there we go. We turn around. I don't think you move unless you... Yeah, you gotta hit the cruise button here. But yeah, I do agree that it would be nice if you could do that for the European and Japanese versions of the game. Since that would be pretty huge to have all that stuff in one place. Yay, 50 rupees. That's just great. That's all. Only great. Nothing more. So now... bombs. Yeah, that would be a thing that would take a lot of effort to program in. Otherwise, I'd... well, presumably. Otherwise, I'd be like, hey, yeah, what about... Well... Yeah, because it would be much easier to just translate and have the... Presumably to rescript in things that you already have. Generally, that tends to be a little bit easier. I would just... But also, I'm just kind of like, how different can it possibly be, right? And the answer, I'm sure, is like, yes, actually. And so I've failed this before, by the way, and this is a good reason to have more of your bombs, because I also forget a little bit of how some of the mechanics work for this. Of like, you have to hit the... I guess you have to hit the red spot, actually. Otherwise, it still flashes like you hit it, but it's... I don't know, I think it should be a different flash, and they did improve this significantly on the Wii U because you have a targeting reticle for your cannon. But there is still the matter of the fact that it's the same red flash no matter where you hit it on the Wii U version, assuming I'm recalling correctly, which I very well might not be. As you can see, having those bomb bags definitely eases up a little bit of the tension there, to put it nicely. As we enter Jabun's shrine here. Well, well, well. Nice to see you, buddy. Unfortunately, much like Valoo, he only speaks Ishgardian, so we have no idea what he's even saying. All those bones, right? I mean... All right, so that is going to open up the next part of the game for us. That sale is a limited time thing, so we should probably farm up some cash pretty quickly. Thankfully, time doesn't move when we're in a dungeon, so we could actually just go to the Tower of the Gods and handle that, but yeah, that's a thing for Wednesday. Excuse me. I hope that didn't come through on the mic. I'm pretty sure it was okay.